You know the feeling, right? Every year, there's this huge surge of energy. January 1st rolls around, and bam, everyone's talking about new goals, a new you, a total fresh start. And it's an exciting idea, for sure. But have you ever looked around and noticed that for some people, it's just another day? It's a really fascinating question when you think about it. I mean, while most of the world is popping confetti and making resolutions, you've got this whole group of people who just wake up, grab their coffee, and go about their day like it's any other Tuesday. So, what's really going on in their heads?
Yeah, and this really hits on what we could call the annual divide. So, on one side, you have this huge social pressure, right? Celebrations, resolutions, this whole idea of reinventing yourself. But on the other side, it's the quiet reality. It's just a normal day. The routine is the same. You're the exact same person you were yesterday. It's a totally different way of seeing time itself.
So, it's really easy to jump to conclusions here, isn't it? We might think, oh, they're just being lazy, or they're so negative. Maybe they're just trying to be difficult? But what the psychology tells us is that these assumptions are, well, they're just plain wrong. The real reason is actually way more interesting.
Okay, so here's the absolute key. This is not a flaw. It's not about attitude. We're talking about a completely different psychological profile. These people aren't against change at all. Their brains are just wired to come at it from a totally different direction.
All right, to get this, we need to talk about a concept called a mental landmark. See, for most people, a big date like New Year's or your birthday, it's like a psychological signpost. It's a clear spot on the map of your life where you can kind of stop, take a look around, and plan where you're going next.
And that leads right into something called a fresh start effect. You know that feeling. It's this powerful belief that a new date, like January 1st, just wipes the slate clean. It lets you mentally disconnect from past mistakes, and it just feels easier to become that new you.
But what if your mind doesn't work that way? What if you don't see life as a book with neat little chapters? What if you don't need a calendar date to feel like you can start over? This question, this is at the absolute core of that different psychological profile we've been talking about. So here's the first major difference. For these folks, time isn't a collection of short stories, where each one has a clear beginning. Nope. It's more like a river, a continuous, unbroken flow. Life and growing as a person is just this one long, ongoing process. And when you see it that way, any single date just doesn't seem all that important. And this different perspective totally changes where they get their motivation from. A lot of us get our motivation from external things, right? The excitement everyone feels, the parties, the date on the calendar. But for the people who just shrug at all the hype, their motivation is almost 100% internal. It comes from their own standards, their need for consistency, and this inner drive to get better, just because they want to, not because the calendar told them it's time. This also means they kind of have a more grounded, realistic take on how change actually happens. They just get it, instinctively, that you don't just magically transform your habits overnight because you flipped a page on the calendar. One day isn't going to erase years of old patterns, so they don't put a ton of hope or get super disappointed about that one single moment. So, how did they approach change? Well, it's super practical. It's simple, really. Step one, they see something they need to work on. Step two, they start right away. I'm talking right then and there. It doesn't matter if it's a Wednesday in April or a Sunday in October, they just start. And step three, they put their trust in a solid system, not in the magic of a specific date. And this brings us to a really cool way of reframing this whole thing. You see, it's easy to mistake their lack of excitement for being cold or detached. But in reality, it's often the exact opposite. It's a sign of real emotional stability and independence. They just don't need a big party or a special occasion to manage their own feelings or motivation. There's a quote that just nails this perfectly. It's not about checking off boxes on certain dates. It's all about the long-term direction. Are they heading in the right direction, month after month, year after year? That's what matters. The overall journey, not the little symbolic stops along the way. And really, this is probably the most important thing to take away from all this. If you're someone who's always felt a little out of sync with all the New Year's hype, and this sounds like you, it's not a flaw. It doesn't mean you're not ambitious or that you don't feel joy. It just means your mind is running on a different timeline, a more continuous one. So that leaves us with one last thing to chew on. Think about your own life, your goals. Do you see it as a book of chapters with clear beginnings and endings? Or is it one long, continuous story where every single day is just another chance to write the next sentence?